lot of companies now also are saying, you know, we all have our KPIs. I think, I always used to say, I want some sort of on-time performance. I want to know some sort of cost performance. How are we doing on damage? Um, I always like to track with LTL billing accuracy because it could be off. And I think a lot of companies are now adding, especially big companies, are adding sustainability. How are we doing on emissions? And if I am delivering 1 or 2 pallets with a 53-foot truck because I needed reefer, I'm hurting myself on my emissions numbers. And again, I think you're not going to work with big companies now without them saying, how are we doing on that? And I always say, just add a KPI. It's not a good one yet. We're a little rough on it's directionally correct is all you can get it to. But um, an easy way to say it is we used a big truck instead of a small truck. Well, that's going to be a ding, right? If right now I said, look, across the nation, I'm going to start using the right size vehicle, which might be one of the smaller vehicles we discussed, rather than a 53-foot. I've saved not only I've saved gas first and foremost. I've saved gas. I've saved cost. And last but not least is sustainability. So please talk about that.
Yeah, so I don't have the stats in front of me, but common sense tells you there's a huge improvement to right sizing the vehicle when it comes to sustainability, your carbon footprint, emission, all of those good things. So I can't speak to the numbers, Joe, but it's definitely something people ask about. It's definitely, numbers that we can provide to help them. My old employer, we had a whole department that was those type of things, right? So it's on everybody's mind. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing for everybody.
Yeah, I think I always say the Walmarts of the world, those companies are all looking. They're looking. How do we get greener and cleaner? And I always say, like, there's KPIs. Sometimes they're very rough, and I always say, just start, just start. You could start this easily with to say, what is the average emissions for a vehicle like yours versus an average vehicle for 53-footer, and say it's directionally correct. I'm just going to use that, and I guarantee it's a nice cost savings. It's probably a lot more efficient. You're probably better on time performance because you got a smaller truck. You don't have to. A 53-foot truck going through traffic isn't easy, especially once you get to the surface streets. And then you're going to be much better on the emissions. So this is just all around a better fit right now for a lot of companies. I have a buddy, and I told you about him before we hit the record button. He started a new brokerage in the last year, done really well. And I remember before he started, he kept saying to me, what would make my business more competitive? And I introduced him to you guys because I said, what makes it more competitive is having more options. And I think this is an option that its time has come.